The reason nobody holds anyone else accountable is because every single one of them has a closet so full of skeletons. When you watch movies about startups or you read books or you hear podcasts and CEOs, they always try to make it sound like there's this one brilliant watershed moment that this changed everything. Anyone who's ever run a business knows that's not how it works. I would love it if somebody said to me, we're going to implement AI and we're going to reduce the job week to 20 hours a week.
Welcome to the Dev Ready podcast.
Sure.
Joining me on the Dev Ready podcast today, I have Jeff Bogensberger. Jeff, thanks for making the time to have a chat today.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on your show and look forward to it.
Thank you. For those of you that are new here or don't know how I sort of run the podcast, I've never actually met Jeff before. So as usual, I'll let Jeff take it away because I don't know anything about him to introduce him.
Okay, so I'm Jeff Bogensberger. I'm originally from Canada. I now live in Australia, I'm the founder and CEO of the Laughing Otter, which is a entertainment and multimedia and events company that focuses on positive content, but middle of the road. So it's not preachy. It's just the mission is just giving the world reasons to have fun.
That's a great cause, and it's I think everyone needs a bit more levity in the day to day and a bit of humor and entertainment that actually is good quality, not just these like very short reels and things that are coming up that are just brain numbing.
Yeah, we try to where we're trying to fit in is where Disney was 30 years ago, and then they've kind of left that space of just that feel good entertainment that appeals to everybody. Nobody can really badmouth it, but there's something for everyone.
Yep.
Just like when I was growing up, that's what Disney represented. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, yeah, they've gone in a different path in the last decade, I'd say.
Yes.
We'll try not to dive into that
Uh,
too much, but
yes.
yeah, just before the call, we had a really quick chat, and you mentioned that you've been in tech for like over 30 years or around in the periphery of it. What's your other history? What else have you done?
Oh, well, I basically did when I left high school, did my undergrad, and then from 21, 22, all the way to 30, I did all sorts of crazy jobs. I've shoveled, chopped, lifted everything that you can imagine. I worked as a ski instructor back in Canada. I worked I tree planted. I was a commercial fisherman off the west coast of Canada. That
Oh
was a
well.
crazy time. I went to Korea and taught English for 3 years, and then I went back, did my MBA, and it was exactly when I turned 30, and that's when I started my real like adult career, and that spanned across a number of different startups in the tech, but always around the tech space, and then startups, medium-sized companies, and then the last company I worked for before the Laughing Otter was a $3 billion global software company. So I've seen it all. I've seen a lot anyway, and I've had the I've had the privilege of working and living and traveling and all over the world. So it's given me a really broad perspective on how things be. Um,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, all
So,
that's.
what drew you into sort of the tech space? If everything was around in there, what was it that intrigued you about tech?
Well, the irony is, I am the least technical person in the tech space. I don't get excited about it. I use it.
Yep.
I know the value of it, but I don't build it. The what intrigued me and the reason I fell into the tech space was when I came out of my MBA, it was 2001, and that was, the height of the dot-com craze.
Yep.
So I joined a startup and um, just rode that wave, and ever since then, that's kind of where I've been. It's the industries I've known.
Okay, so you saw the fall of that point as well, then the dot com crash. I was
Yeah.
I was quite young at that point. I didn't really understand what was happening. I wasn't paying too much interest in the world. But I've heard stories about those companies being valued at just ridiculous amounts for nothing, and then it all just came tumbling down. Did you get
Well,
affected by that at that point?
we weren't. The, the irony is the first company startup I worked at, we were a tech company that had a real business, and this really hasn't changed too much. Is that the VC communities love to invest in hype. They don't. They're less likely to invest in real solid businesses with business models that have sustainable growth. That dot-com crash, people people look at it as an isolated incident. Well, it kind of crashed, and then, but since that crash, it's never changed. It's for the
Mhm.
last 30 years. It's the whole the whole model is get in, create hype, and get out. And when you hear stats like 2 out of 10 companies that get investment are successful, well, those are all just micro crashes that just continuously happen. So
Yep.
that hasn't really changed too much. But it's a reality of how the tech environment works these days.
Yeah, and it's there's just the big cycles where it just gets really overhyped. So at the moment we're going through like that AI hype. Everything's just getting piled into AI. Before that, you probably had bit of the crypto hype, which has happened a few times in the
Yeah,
past 10 years, I would say. There's been
yeah,
two or three big spikes in that. And then before that was sort of like the new version of the web and then the mobile phone when that first came out. There was all app companies and things like that. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of hype that gets the interest of those VCs. But I think those numbers that get thrown about with X amount of investment here and then they exited for Y, that's what gets people interested in trying to become a startup founder and getting into the space. I don't think they're that very few of them probably have a passion for the tech or what they're trying to do. It's more, I want to be a founder and exit and get that outcome. But I don't think they understand what that means.
yeah. I agree, and unfortunately, the the splash of cold water reality is that those stories are 1 in 10,000. And those other 9,999 founders get a rude awakening when they realize actually this is way harder than people think.
Yeah.
Um, and companies don't exit in 6 months. It's
It's going to be extremely rare for that to ever happen. Who knows how many times that's actually happened?
Yeah, that's right. And then the other part of it, like it's only the tech world that thinks like that. You don't start nobody starts a restaurant or a manufacturing company or a landscaping company or any other industry and says, "Well, I'm going to start this with the hopes of selling it to someone else in 3 months or 6 months or even
Yeah,
three
you're right.
years."
There's always
You,
an exit in mind in tech.
yeah, that's right. Where everybody else thinks like my dad, my brothers, my uncles, like everybody I grew up with, we were around business our whole lives, my brothers and I. And my dad started his and my mom started their business with the idea that this is what we're going to do in lieu of a job for the next 40 years.
Yep.
And that's how most people approach starting a business. It's an infinite plan, but we're just like it's just we're going to sell things for more than it costs to make them, and and then we're going to pay ourselves a salary and hopefully grow it enough that we can hit retirement nice and comfortably and without the having to work for someone else and all that kind of stuff. That's every other industry. And the most industries, if you see a 5 or 10% growth year on year, that's greater than inflation and greater than the population growth, well, that's
Hmm.
success. um and even one step further, like back from that, most companies that exist, we both live in Melbourne, so most companies that exist in Melbourne are happy to do the same sales today or next month as they did this month
Yep.
because they know they're profitable. They're paying themselves a salary, everything. Like,
It's consistent. They
um,
can rely on it.
yeah, they can rely on it, and you have the same customers. You build that regular customer base, and you're basically just taking orders. That is success outside of the VC driven tech world, which has these multiples that are just they're hard to fathom in any other industry. Like if you go into if you were going to buy a restaurant, you wouldn't look at the restaurant and say, "Oh, they're doing $100,000 a month in like in revenue, so that's $1.2 million a year." You'd never value it, that restaurant and say, "Well, we'll give you $10 million for it," based on like a 10 times the value.
Yep.
But that's what the tech world does.
Hmm.
And that's where a lot of people get caught out. And it's,
Yeah, I think
um,
there's a lot there, which is the business fundamentals. It's got to be
yeah,
a successful business first, otherwise it's a loss leader, and then very few of those can get to the point without funding to do anything. I know
yeah,
Snapchat, for example, took, I think it was 12 years before they started turning a profit.
yeah.
But that was
Facebook,
investor funded for 12 years with hundreds of millions of dollars poured into it to hopefully that it can get somewhere. And it probably never still has made that much money for them compared
no,
to TikTok then came out and took over it, and Instagram or whatever all these other apps that are still
yeah,
blowing up on top of it.
yeah, that's right. There's so many examples. Like, there's only a handful of customers or a handful of companies that like well now it's X, but X or Facebook, whatever. But they were like 15, 20 years of convincing investors,
Yeah.
give us more money, give us more money. And, and then like when you look at how many billions, hundreds of billions of dollars have been pumped into those companies, what have they actually built? Like there's nothing really all that exciting that Facebook is the same company as it was, you know, 20 years ago. Like there's nothing of, and then, with the Laughing Otter, we work a lot with mental health and social impact and stuff like that. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, they've probably
we
done
have,
more damage than good.
yeah, well, there's a strong argument is with all the money that's been pumped into Silicon Valley, using that metaphorically, um, what human good has come out of it? Like what technology that's come out of Silicon Valley has really changed people's lives for the positive? Like it's, we're addicted to a lot of it now, but are
Yep.
we happier? Are our kids happier? That's a big one. Are they more at
Yeah,
risk? Are they more dangerous?
it's not going in that right direction unless there's a lot of control put in to try and manage it.
Yeah. Well, that's uh, when you look at like AI is an interesting like it's an amazing technology. Like it's amazing what it can do. But what's disappointing is we saw all the damage that tech companies can do without having guardrails in place, guardrails that are in every other industry. Um, like you can't build a car and put it on the road without certain features in that, and you can't drive it at whatever speeds you want or whatever. But tech has been given this free reign and no accountability because of the VC driven mentality. As long as it's generating multiples, we're going to ignore all the damage it's doing. It's a shame that now that AI, which is and quantum computing that's coming, it's a shame that these areas, like, we haven't learned our lesson. Like let's put some rules in place um, that actually work, and accountability, and you know that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I think there's not a lot of that structure in place in general in that area.
no,
There's a lot
no,
of the whole industry, like just talking about software development in general, it's not regulated. There's no security. There's a lot of what we call cowboys out there that just promise a lot, don't deliver. Everyone makes mistakes, but there's some people that do it knowingly and try and grift people. And then there is startups. We've heard examples of people faking numbers and data, etc., to get their valuations higher and whatever else they do. It's all about just trying to chase that dollar. It's not there. Not everyone is there for that. There is obviously people that care and trying to do the right thing,
Yeah.
but majority is just chasing the number at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's a controversial figure, but Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. He has never delivered on anything that he's promised. All the stuff, like, we're all supposed to be driving self-driving cars by now. By now, everybody was supposed to have uh, robots in their house. Starlink is a fraction of the of as good as it's been promised. All of these things are, like it's just rampant. Like when I was growing up, that was the the real estate developer who's selling swampland in Florida. But there was accountability to it. Now you can tell uh, that you can go out to the uh, the masses and say whatever you want, and there's no credibility. For example, um, LinkedIn knows that 60% of job ads on LinkedIn are fraudulent. They're not real.
Okay.
Facebook knows that 10% of their ad revenue comes from frauds. They know that.
Yep.
Facebook knows that it's causing millions of suicides every day or every year. They know this. It's internal documents that are saying these things, and yet no accountability. If you or I were causing millions of deaths, or we knew that our business was running fraud, was enabling fraud, we would be held accountable. Actually,
Yep.
even on a greater thing, nobody likes the big bad banks, but they would be the CEO of any bank that knew that 10% of its revenue was being generated through frauds. They would go to jail. Like
Yep.
there are like know your customer rules in the banking industry that do not exist anywhere else, or do
Yeah,
not exist in the tech world.
it's interesting that the tech has a different way to approach those issues because the way they do it, they're providing the tool and then they wash their hands of whatever the outcome is generally.
Yeah, and that you're not allowed to do that in like if you're in banking, that they can't argue, oh, it's just our tool. Like they're not allowed. There's
Yep.
very strict rules of reporting suspicious behavior. Like I know, like, well, I'm sure you've experienced it. Yeah, you don't travel for a couple of years, and the next thing you know, like when you go overseas for a week or two, um, and all of a sudden your credit card gets blocked. Well,
Yep.
that's because they're legally obligated to do that.
Hmm.
Um,
The
yeah,
one reason I probably think the big tech companies, so the Facebooks, the Twitters, etc., get away with that stuff is it's probably used more by like law enforcement and other departments to collect information. So they need everyone on there to be able to do that. I know that banks are being monitored and they use their stuff, but there's a lot more information that can come out of those other systems that are used that we probably don't know about, that we did hear about with those CIA systems 15 years ago whenever they came out. So there's
that's
probably a different lever there that's why they get the pass.
maybe.
That's just
I
speculation anyway, but
Yeah, it's possible. Well, I had a colleague who was a investment banker in New York, and he explained it to me in this way. He goes, the reason they get away with it is because ABC hedge fund goes to uh, Joe Smith, congressman, and says, "Hey, there's this startup called Facebook. How about we create a nice little hedge fund for your family?
yeah, okay.
Nobody will know it's yours. We'll put $5 million worth of Facebook shares in it,
Hmm.
and thanks for that."
Yeah.
And he said that happens every single day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
That-
surprised. That's where we hear stories. I think it's Now, not
Well,
that we know much about US politics in Australia, but like from what I've read, Nancy Pelosi is worth $380 million as a congresswoman who earns $180,000 a year.
yeah,
She is the best investor in the world.
yeah. Well, they're all like that, and
Yeah.
that's like people like wondering how there's no accountability in Washington. I have a mate who was a lobbyist in Washington. He just couldn't take it anymore, so he got
I was to
out.
say that would have been a fun job.
Yeah, he said the problem is the reason nobody holds anyone else accountable is because every single one of them has a closet so full of skeletons that they can't.
Yep.
Like they can't if they start throwing stones. But that's what's kind of happened. Yeah, we don't go down a politics road,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's an interesting way that there's a lot of people involved, a lot of hands in pockets and everywhere. So it's hard to say why, what, or when, how things
yeah,
have happened. So
yeah, and
just going
it's
back into sort of your career in the tech space, it's more about the business fundamentals. In the laughing auto that you're a startup, and was that the principles of how you started? So you had that like goal. You want to be just entertainment platform that's providing good content, has morals, and is delivering the right values effectively. And then did it come in that the business was first, or was it that idea that drove it?
it was like every startup will tell you, it's evolved, but there was three triggering things that happened all at the same time.
Hmm.
That one was uh, I was made redundant from big company, and I was like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
Yep.
This is not fun. I'm tired of boardrooms where you don't even like anyone in the room, and like you can't trust anyone, and
Hmm.
if another cliche comment came out, you're going to drown someone in the fruit platter. And it's like, okay, this being made redundant was a blessing in
Yep.
disguise. Well,
It's
actually, it was
run
just
its
a
course.
blessing. Yeah. So it was like at that same time, I turned 50,
Hmm.
and so I was like, the last third of my career is going to be about doing something that makes a difference in this world more than making just making people I don't even like money. And then at that same time, like trying to avoid politics here, but at the same time, we were right in the heart of Trump world. And regardless of what side of the aisle you were on or where your opinions were, there was no denying it was nonstop negativity. You couldn't have a conversation with anyone without it being angry, exhausting. It filtered into every barbecue, every dinner, every conversation. And I just realized that we need to do something. There needs to be something that offsets all of the negative that everybody is consuming.
Hmm.
And then another thing happened where in my world, a friend of mine hung himself. And
Oh no.
another friend of mine drank himself to death, which was essentially the same procedure, just a little bit less dramatic.
Oh no.
And another friend tried to. And I'm just looking around going, this is ridiculous. There's more than enough food and water and jobs and everything in this world that we should all be having a lot more fun, which is a lifelong motto of mine. Like life doesn't have to be this hard. Like it could we shouldn't be fighting over politics. We should be arguing over, hey, where are we gonna go out this weekend? Or where are we going fishing? Where are we going camping? Where are we gonna, like all the fun stuff in life. But yeah, we create these artificial reasons to be angry. So that started the thing, and then I started incorporating stuff that I like to do. Like most of my career, I haven't really been allowed to be as creative as I like to be. So, this painting behind us that was done. We had a big event in LA where we brought a whole bunch of uh, creators together to do uh, all these guitar challenges, and an artist an LA artist who's got this really crazy, awesome idea of building this Tower of Peace and really cool story behind it. He did this live painting while all the creators were playing guitar.
Okay.
And all of that just kind of, it's as I meet people, as I get introduced to other opportunities, the Laughing Otter is just evolving and it's just growing. We have over 100 million content views last
Oh
year.
wow, that's huge.
And so the brand is starting to really come together. The I heard like this year the goal is to start doing animations, like show you the character here. You see that? So he's
Yep.
going
The
to
otter.
he's we're going to do a bunch of animations and stuff. I just heard yesterday, coincidentally, that Bluey, which is a Australian success story, anyone
Mm-hmm.
who has kids anywhere in the world knows who Bluey is.
Yep.
And they had the same kind of message as the Laughing Otter. It's positive. It's a family unit that's not dysfunctional. It's like it just really appealed in a positive way. And the Laughing Otter is going down that general vein more than just animation. Although Bluey kind of went the opposite direction that we're going, but getting to the same spot. Like now,
Mm-hmm.
you there's Bluey merchandise, Bluey events, Bluey
Yep. Oh, they have to
concerts.
capitalize on the hype.
What's it? Yeah, that's right. And um, so yeah, that's the journey was like most startups. I was talking to a mate of mine. When you watch movies about startups or you read books or you hear podcasts and CEOs, they always try to make it sound like there's this one brilliant watershed moment that this changed everything. But it's anyone who's ever run a business knows that's not how it works. It's just uh, it's just a constant flow of micro decisions. You pull the levers and you go, okay, what happened? Adjust, pull some more levers, and you do that every single day, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually, and it continues to evolve based on who you meet, what the market's saying, what you learn, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just the lessons along the way and the mistakes that you make that course correct. It's
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
very ever rarely a giant shift comes out and changes everything unless it's some new technology or something that comes in and completely disrupts. And even
Yeah,
that
and
does take time and it may take you time to realize, but it's not overnight. Nothing is very stealthy.
no, and no decision you ever make is 100% perfect or 100% bad. Like nothing you do is ever catastrophic, and nothing you ever do is like, oh, okay, now that changed everything. It,
Yeah.
it's uh, it's just gradual incremental steps, and then maybe a bump up, or maybe or an oopsie that cost me a bit of money,
Yeah.
and
So
but
just being in the creative space, I'll just touch on a bit of AI and ask you a question just before we wrap up is in being in the creative space, I know there's a lot of people that are concerned about about AI being able to create and replace what they're doing. Are you seeing it as a tool that'll help you accelerate your animations or your clips, or is it more like a brainstorming, or is it a lot of concern about what it can actually do for and replace what you're doing?
I for me, I know there's a lot of efficiencies that it creates for me, and it is useful in there. But as a drummer and a huge music fan, what scares me is that the music industry is already really bad and vanilla, and nothing interesting has come out in years. Uh, so I'm afraid that it's going to get more and more vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not going to reward creativity. Uh, I think the other fear I have is like from the creative side of things, it just brings everything to the middle, and the true genius, like Eson, who painted this, they're going to be replaced by ESON clones that are not quite as creative, but are, but then also I'm afraid that there's not going to be any new movements or any
Yeah.
new evolutions. But
So more similar, more the same, not changing direction, being coming up with
yeah,
something new.
yeah, like every time somebody said, "Oh wow, look at this video I created using AI," and it's like, yeah, that's basically an amalgamation of 20 movies seen in the last month. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing, you haven't done anything new or creative. Um,
But I
but
think
will it,
for the people that can create things like that, though, they never would have had the opportunity to make something either.
that's the question is, but then like, I, I'm on the fence. Like I really
Yep.
am because,
It's hard to pick.
well, if you can follow my logic here, in some ways, it's like, well, let's let everybody at the Olympics take steroids because those people who wouldn't have made the Olympics, well, now they can make the Olympics because they've
Yeah.
taken steroids.
Hmm.
Well, do we want people who aren't creative enough to create on their own validity, stealing other people's ideas?
Yep.
That's probably the biggest thing that
Yep.
regulation needs to catch up with is
The
if you're
IP.
machine learning and your tools are extracting from other people, that's fine as long as they get compensated for it.
Yeah, because at the moment everything's been used and no one's been rewarded for it.
That's right. And you have um, like even like uh in music when if a rapper or somebody samples music from somebody, they have to pay that person
Yeah.
royalties. And
And there's
that's
big court cases about not paying and then they get stuffed
yeah,
over. And yeah, it's you have to pay respect to what came prior art and what you use, what inspired you.
yeah, and that's I think and even going outside the arts world, like and I do this. And in a lot of ways I know it's ethically and morally probably questionable, but it's available. So I'll go on Chat GPT. Let's say if I need a contract
Hmm.
or a letter of intent or something legal, I'll go on Chat GPT and say, write me up a contract that's this jurisdiction, this it's binding, it's blah 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 between these two parties, and it spits out a contract. And then I use that contract. But somewhere along the way, that contract wasn't magically appeared. Somebody has had that. Either it's on their website as a lead generator, or like somebody owns that
Oh,
information.
yeah, there's 50, 60 different pieces of other
Yeah,
contracts out there that it's just remixed and put together.
that's right. And all those people paid $100,000 to go to law school.
Hmm.
Like, and or there's a law firm that's paying salaries for people to create that, and they deserve to be compensated. That's the thing. Like, where is that line of, well, we can just, because even if you say, well, it's public domain, yeah, but it's public domain on their website. That it's designed for me to go to their website
Yeah.
and click and maybe leave my email address, or at the very least improve their SEO. So the next time somebody's looking for a law firm, they find that law firm. So there's all these things that really we need to discuss, but I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to get covered, that part, because,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, it does allow people without the ability to do things. So I've seen it in the programming world. People who didn't know anything about programming are now making apps.
Yeah. Well,
Just because they can doesn't mean they should.
yeah, that's
Some,
right.
yeah. And then, yeah, what comes out of them are potentially introducing risks and opening themselves up to other problems. Um, but it is a great tool. It does accelerate everything we do. I am creating little images and clips that I wouldn't have used otherwise when we're making content because
Yes.
we don't have the budget to then have a animator on board to be able to create things full time. So a little 8 second clip is I'm happy to get AI to generate it and create it, even though it's not pushing the boundaries and being something new. It just adds a bit more to
Yeah.
the article that we're selling. So it's helping sell the idea.
Yeah. And you know what? It falls in that bucket. I do it too. I use ChatGPT every single day.
Yep.
But in the back of my mind or on my shoulder, Jimmy Cricket's going, this is wrong. Like you know that you're taking someone else's IP and you're using it, and that, and and also like as someone who big music fan, like I mentioned, it's like you're pretending you have skills that you don't have.
Yep.
You're pretending that you're a good animator, but you're not. You're
I
pretending
can do
you're a
anything
lawyer,
now.
but you're not. What's
Yeah,
that?
I can do anything now.
Yeah, well, that's it. And but does that elevate? Does it move people from, okay, well, I don't have to do this marketing thing. I can do that in
Yeah.
10 seconds. So now it's done, and now I can do more useful
Yeah, that's the
things.
idea. It's hopefully you can redirect your energy to do things that are more value, because
You
everyone
know,
can do the same thing now. Everyone
yeah,
can use ChatGPT to do exactly what you're doing.
what I would love to see, and this ain't going to happen, but and it really, I've been living my whole professional career has been post.com craze. And I keep hearing about all these wonderful technologies that are improving our lives and making us more efficient. But never in history have we been more stressed out. We're still all like, people are still working 50, 60-hour weeks. They're still not spending any time. I would love it if somebody said to me, we're going to implement AI and we're going to reduce the job week to 20 hours a week, and we're going to have the same output, the same whatever. I would be, yeah, let's do it. let's
Yeah, I think
let's
everyone would,
yeah,
except
but
the owners of the business, because they want to
yeah,
keep
well,
growing.
and that's the fundamental problem is we create all these efficiencies, but and I was thinking about this the other day. It was like housing prices in just about every country, like especially every developed country,
Hmm.
have over the last 30 years or whatever have gone up, 5, 10,
More.
20%
Yeah.
or 20 times, not percent.
Yeah.
But salaries have gone up maybe 5% or 10%. And that saved, like,
Yeah, it
depending on
doesn't
the
match.
countries, it doesn't match. So where's all of this so-called value gone? And you start looking at it, it goes pretty obvious. It's the 1% have just extracted all that value from the economy. And so with things like AI, the amount of money that's going into it that's not being recouped, and but yet the founder are billionaires. The founders of
Yeah.
all these tech companies are billionaires, but it hasn't trickled down to the economy. It's just extracted money from the economy. So
Yeah.
all of this efficiency we've created had to go somewhere, and it just consolidated the wealth. It didn't spread out to to the economy.
Yeah,
And
it's going
so
into either the founders or like infrastructure, which is it's there, but no one really gets a benefit from until a longer term down the line when
which
it all levels out.
yeah, which never seems to come. Like that's until because and everybody's still working way more
Yeah,
than they
nothing's
should.
changed.
And in fact, like we live in Australia. Australia is like 100 times better than North America. Like when I lived in Toronto, nobody goes home before 7 o'clock.
Oh well.
People leave at 4:30 in the morning to get to work for 9 because the traffic's so bad. That's what our efficiency has created.
Okay.
And it's yeah,
Oh, I didn't
Australia
know.
is awesome.
Yeah, you hear there's a lot of overwork in America, but I didn't realize it was like that
Yeah,
there as well.
yeah, yeah. Australia, like that's like people. Why do you like Melbourne? Because it's really good life in relative to
It is.
most
I
developments.
wouldn't complain. I haven't lived anywhere else, but I don't complain too much about it. It's whatever
No,
you end up doing, you just have to work around traffic, and you'll be okay.
and even that, Anthony, you have no idea what traffic is.
Yeah, it's
Like,
light traffic. Being stuck for half an hour probably is
yeah,
minor.
like I live 10 minutes, or like not even 7 minutes from two world-class beaches, and
Yep.
I can be in the Melbourne CBD in 15 minutes. So,
Yeah, your
and
positioning is good.
yes, and I don't even live in an expensive neighborhood. So, um, but yeah, like and I can be camping in 45 minutes where I won't see a single person. So it's
Yep.
pretty
Oh,
awesome here.
you got a lot of options there, which is good. Jeff, we'll probably have to wrap it up there.
Yep.
If anyone wants to reach out and find out more about you, how can they do that?
Good place is just LinkedIn. Jeff Bonesberger is, I don't think there's any other Jeff Bonesbergers on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, and the Laughing Otters on all the social platforms. So you can check us out, plus
Yep.
thelaughing.com.
Okay.
And yeah, it'd be great to connect to people, always looking for people to partner with, to do cool stuff. We support a lot of not-for-profits. Anybody who's wanting to make a difference in the world, always looking to chat. So yeah.
Yep. Oh, cool. Well, we'll drop all of that into the show notes with the episode. Once
Yeah.
again, thanks for joining me on the podcast, and it's been a great chat.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. You have a great day.
Thank you.